Hello everyone, welcome to another video. So today I'm here with this 2004 Audi A4, and the problem with this car that I'm looking at today is that the button on the boot, when you press it, it doesn't work. The boot can be opened using the key still. Now there's two main causes for this. It can either be, generally speaking, it can either be this button unit, or it can be this the actuator, which is just there, basically held on by these two screws. Now in this case, as well as not working with the button on here, this boot was also not working with the button on the key either, even though the central locking, the other two buttons, did work. So therefore my guess was that it was probably going to be the actuator, but actually it's not. So it's something a bit different. So I just thought I'll make this video because you might find the diagnosis and repair interesting, and it might be useful for you. Okay, so the reason I know it's not the actuator is because I've already taken out and tested it. And basically, to take it out it's quite easy in the sense that you just loosen these two screws. You don't have to take them out fully, and then the unit kind of slides over into this upper area, and then it's just a matter of releasing, you know, where it's connected there, and just kind of maneuvering it out. So it takes a little bit of kind of like finessing it to get it out, but you know, it's not too difficult. Then now once you've got it out, the connector is obviously going to be disconnected. What you can do is just momentarily apply 12 volts from like a spare car battery or something, and you should be able to see the actuator kind of like pulling in, and then obviously when you release it, releasing. You can apply the power either way. One way it will work, and one way it won't work. As long as you just do it momentarily, I don't think it should damage it. But anyway, that's what I've done with this one, and it works. So that was my first step, and that's how I knew that it wasn't the actuator. Okay, so then my next step was to just connect my test light just across the back of that connector there, as you can probably just about make out, and then try the button again. So you can probably hear me clicking the button, but as you can see, that test light isn't lighting. So really, if that actuator was being powered, then that test light should be lighting. The fact that it's not lighting kind of proves that the actuator is not being powered. So we've got either the power, so we must have either the power or the ground missing there. So before I go on to the next step, I'll just show you the setup I'm using here, which hopefully will make the video make a bit more sense to some of you. So this is just basically a lead or cable, whatever you might want to call it, that I made up myself. This was an old kind of lawnmower, or kind of something like some kind of like garden type lead. Anyway, it was just an old bit of cable, and I've just kind of like attached a couple of old crocodile clips from some old jump start cables, so that just goes on to like positive and negative on the battery there. And then so that means that, you know, I can stretch this around to the back of the car, and then here I've got a known good positive and negative that I can work with for my testing. Okay, so what I did next was I just connected this extra bit of lead onto the negative pole of that cable I showed you earlier. As you can see, it's just the same lead, follows round, then it's just changes color up there just because I wanted a different sort of type of bit of wire at the end. And then I basically have kind of like stuffed that in, you know, on the brown side on the back of that connector there. So now I've basically given that I've effectively given a good ground there. So now if we try the button again, as you can see, it's working. So that definitely confirms that, you know, everything else is okay, apart from the fact that we're missing a ground there. Okay, so now I have this other test light. It doesn't matter, I could be using the same one, no particular reason for the switching test light, but I've got this other test light connected to the positive side of that lead from the front of the car. So now it means that when the end of this test light finds a good ground, or a ground, it will light. Sorry, it will light. So I'm just, the reason is because I'm trying to look through the phone. Sorry. So as you can see, when it finds the ground, it lights. Okay. So then I've gently taken this this bit of rubber shroud off this part here on the boot lid, and using the end of this this test light, which is very sharp actually, I've made a small hole in this brown wire, which, because it's a bit thicker than the other ones and because it's the only brown one, I've kind of guessed basically, or educated guess, that that's going to be, you know, the earth wire coming out the boot. Now when I push that in there, so this is interesting. Now the reason that's lighting is actually because I've still got that connected on there, and it's actually back feeding and finding a ground through the positive. So that's probably a little bit advanced for this video. This is the sort of stuff that I struggle to make sense of myself, but let me pretend you didn't see that. Let me disconnect that. Sorry. Okay, so now, but basically, so if everything was well, it shouldn't make a difference that that's disconnected. We should still have a good ground there. And as you can, what is going on? Have I just fixed this? I think the reason that came on intermittently is because I think because I've been moving it around. I think maybe kind of I intermittently fixed it. But as you can see, like right now, there is no ground there. As you can see, I think the reason it came on momentarily earlier. Okay guys, I think the reason it came on momentarily earlier is because I suspect that the brake is within kind of like this sort of area here, and where we were moving stuff around, I think we just made it temporarily make contact. But right now, as you can see, that's definitely not lighting there. But if we come down here, and where is it? Hang on. If we come down here, sorry, the angles are not great, the camera angles, but just there is the continuation of that brown wire. And once again, I've already made a very small hole, which I will fix, by the way, these holes will with liquid electrical tape. But if I touch it here, it lights. And I can tell you that, you know, I've done this a few times, you know, because I'm basically like redoing this now because to film it for you guys. And I can tell you that every time I've touched it there, it has lit reliably every single time. But actually, apart from when I was just filming earlier, up here, it was actually definitely not lighting. That was the only time it lit then, that previous clip. And now, as you can see, it's not lighting. Look, I'm sort of moving it around and pressing it in a little bit just to make sure 100% I'm making contact there with the actual, you know, wire itself. Definitely not lighting. And just one more time, if I come back down here, if I come back down here, I'm just trying to find the same hole. Yeah, reliably every single time it lights down here. So basically, to cut a long story short, I'm pretty sure that our brake is going to be, hang on, let me just take the camera out of here. Our brake is going to be sort of like in this sort of section here. Now what I think I'm probably going to do is, rather than try and solder, you know, find the brake and, you know, like solder it and all that sort of stuff, I think what's going to work probably better and easier is to just sort of like try and put in a new piece of wire. Now that's going to be too fiddly to try and film, but basically what I'm going to do, this is already off there as you can see. I'm going to take this rubber grommet off down here as well, and then, I mean, I don't know if it's going to work or not, but I'm going to just try and thread like a new piece of wire in, and then just make a connection up in there somewhere, and, you know, down past there somewhere, and hopefully that should fix it. But yeah, let me see how I get on and I'll film what I can. Okay, so it's a few days later and the repair is done. Now I decided after that this conduit assembly was going to be, or was, too tight and too sort of complicated in its routing and in its position to make it really feasible to thread a new piece of wire from it. I mean, I did have a little go, but, you know, it was not going to happen easily. And more so than it not happening easily, I was basically concerned that in trying to do so I would damage either, you know, the conduit assembly itself or one of the other wires. So I thought, that's really maybe not the best route to go down. So then I had a different idea. I thought to myself, well, I thought this boot lid is fixed to the rest of the car through this sort of big heavy metal kind of hinge assembly, obviously on both sides. I thought to myself, I wonder excuse me, I wonder if the boot lid itself is actually grounded. So I took my test light and I kind of like pushed it through the paintwork to get to the metal underneath, and indeed it lit. So that's obviously, you know, with a test light that was on the end of my lead connected to battery positive, you know, it lit on there. So that showed to me that yes, the boot lid is actually grounded. So then I thought, okay, great. So this is what I did. There's already a hole there. So I used some sandpaper to take off some of the paint around that hole. Then I used a nut and bolt and I fixed this eyelet crimp to this wire basically into that hole. And then on the other side, I simply used one of these Scotch connector type connectors to fix onto, you know, the brown wire going to that connector. And then I've just unplugged that to show you, but I'll just plug it back in. And now we will see that it works. And actually, as you can see, you know, the car's in a different position. It was actually a few days ago now that I did that. In fact, I'd put the panel back on as well, because I was just pushed for time. I've just taken the panel back off to show you guys the repair. But anyway, the reason I say that is actually in those few days I've been using this car, and I've had to access the boot quite a few times as well. And I can confirm that it's fixed and working reliably, which is great. So anyway guys, as always, I hope you found the video useful and interesting, and I hope to catch you guys on another video soon. Cheers, bye.